The film begins with a series of ancient drawings and paintings telling about myths and folk tales, as if paving the way for the overall atmosphere that we will live the events as they take us to a quiet English village in the countryside called Borough. Life may seem very simple and calm, and the story begins with a chapter titled The Gift of Hair. And here we meet Rebecca, Holland the Cece in the village and in charge of the church. Rebecca lives with her husband Henry and their 10-year-old daughter Grace. This family is still new in Borough, but everyone treats them kindly. There is something unnatural in Grace's behavior. From the beginning of the film, we notice that she cuts pieces of her hair and puts them in a small box, and in another scene we see three people wearing masks. And instead of being scared, she calmly goes to get scissors and tries to hurt her little rabbit. But in the midst of all this, she accidentally cuts her hand. Why is Grace acting this way? And what do her actions mean? We will find out. Then in this village, they celebrate the Harvest Festival every year. It is a tradition they have followed for centuries, even before Christianity. This year, they have chosen little Grace to play the role of the harvest angel in the simple performances. It is being done at the festival. But her mother, Rebecca, is not comfortable with the matter as a Christian. She doesn't like the idea of them thanking an old spirit for the harvest. But at the same time, she couldn't object to the customs and traditions of the village, so she reluctantly agreed to attend with her family. The villagers were very friendly and welcomed them. And we also get to know Jocelyn, the son of a man who has no interest in Christianity, but he very much of the old traditions. And on the day of the festival, the whole village gathers, many people wearing masks and costumes, and the atmosphere is entirely joy and celebration. Jocelyn comes on stage and plays the role of the Lord of Chaos, asking people to summon a spirit named Jailer Jojo. This is an ancient pagan character associated with fertility and harvest. The villagers believe they must honor Jailer Jojo for their fields to continue bringing goodness to anyone outside the matter. It just seems like an old ritual is taking place. An actor dressed as that spirit entertains the audience. And here Rebecca realizes for the first time that this festival is not just a joke or play. It is serious. In glimpses of ancient, almost devilish legends. Despite that, the night was filled with enthusiasm, and the villagers continued. Their celebrations are next to the forest, and people are dancing and celebrating. But suddenly the story takes a terrifying turn. Rebecca can't find Grace. She asks another child named Brianni if the girl saw her. She was crying and repeating strange things about blood, fire, the sun. These words will later become the titles of the 4 chapters of the story. When Rebecca presses her to know Brianna's answer, she eventually says that Grace went, and Rebecca, terrified, runs. She wanders in the forest and sees her daughter standing with someone running away from her and calling her to stop. But instead, Rebecca, she stumbles and falls into a strange hole in the ground, ending up alone, shocked and confused. And the next morning, Grace has disappeared. Exactly. The police arrive to open a report, and here the second chapter begins. Blood gift. The police ask Rebecca questions, but she feels that no one is taking the disappearance matter seriously, and when the officers try to, they take things from Grace's belongings, and Rebecca completely refuses. Henry believed that the police would find their daughter, but Rebecca felt something much more dangerous, as if Grace was in real danger. In her despair, she sits down to pray, and while lying on Grace's bed, she sees a quick shadow of her daughter. While searching, they enter the woods and find only a piece cut from Grace's dress. This discovery increases fear. Rebecca more and more, while refusing to give in, continues searching by herself in the areas surrounding the village. A little later, Henry calls Rebecca and tells her to return home because the police found something. It turns out they found videos from the festival showing that Grace was talking to a boy named Derry Nash before she disappeared. All suspicions go towards him to distract Rebecca. Oh my, her fears. Henry takes her to the village tavern. The place was crowded with people. They looked genuinely upset regarding Grace's disappearance from their words. Rebecca learns that the Nash family is not liked, and Derry lives with his grandfather away from the rest of the village, and she is worried. She convinces Henry that they must go there immediately, but at home they meet the grandfather, who tells them that Derry is not there. Searching the place, Rebecca discovers something very concerning. Animal remains hanging along with a toy doll with writing underneath, words that stop the blood in your veins, standing in the fields and waiting. The story moves into the next chapter, the gift of the day. We see Jocelyn, my son, in his house drawing strange symbols with his hands. When leaving the room, we glimpse a boy named Thomas. Although we are not sure if Thomas is really there or just a figment, we will learn more about him. Then the next day, Rika gathers the villagers in the church and asks them to hold a public night of prayer. The return of Grace gives her hope because she dreamed a dream she considered a sign from God that Grace is still safe. But Jocelyn interrupts her, and he announces he doesn't believe in God or her vision and warns her that these dreams are not divine at all. They are made by Jayla. Jogo, the dark entity, claims to be standing in the fields watching, saying that 2 days have passed, and everything is happening exactly, as happens every time. After saying that, he walked away, leaving behind a frightening idea. Maybe Grace could be the one controlling the entity, this evil one. Rebecca ignores his warnings and encourages all the people to continue praying. Rebecca's neighbors try to help her, but she refused to rest until she finds Grace. At that time, Jocelyn was performing strange rituals, breaking some eggs. One of them, there was a dead chick inside her, and then she drew frightening symbols with her hand. The other villagers were also behaving strangely. They put hair in jars filled with blood as if they were preparing for some horrible event. At the same time, an old woman appeared. She went to get eggs from her chicken coop, but inside the coop she saw a terrifying sight. She caught a glimpse of Gala Jogo's entity, the dark entity chasing the fields. What is this? And she is shocked. She walked down the streets dazed until her lord found her and took her home. What is this? And she is still in shock. She whispered and said she saw the evil one. Why is that? She asked her to pray, but what is this? She just laughed cynically and warned her and said no, he would like it this way. Suddenly, she pointed at the door and insisted that he is there. At that moment, the doors closed on their own. What is this? She cut a piece of her hair, and she fell into a fit of hysterical laughter, leaving Rebecca terrified and scared. Later, Rebecca, while sitting with Mary, learns more about Jayla Jojo and about folklore. The region, Mary gives her a book that tells how, in the year 1621, someone named Tobias Brown, he claimed he communicated with Jayla Jojo. People called him the Lord Chaos and assured him that he was the spirit of the earth, an entity with power that blessed the land. With miracles, according to the legend, Tobias built a black barn where offerings were presented to Gala Jogo. In return, this spirit promised him fertility and prosperity, but the offerings were not ordinary. Villagers were required to offer their children. Every year they chose a family, and that family left their child inside the barn as a gift. When Christianity spread in the area, the church discovered this practice, and Tobias and his followers were burned, and these rituals have ended. After centuries, this tradition returned, but this time it was softened in the form of a festival. Jojo is depicted as just a monster in folk tales. For Rebecca, all of this was just folklore and nonsense, but she learned more terrifying truth over 12 years ago. Thomas, Jocelyn's son, disappeared in the same way, and no one found him back at that moment. And if she appeared and announced that Thomas and Grace were taken to be known, she asked Rebecca to go to the dark barn herself and meet Jayla Jojo, and in a scary scene, his hand, suddenly, she lost control of herself and started screaming the same words repeatedly while they watched her in shock. Rebecca was terrified but refused to give up. She went to Jocelyn hoping he would tell her anything about Thomas, but Jocelyn was completely uninterested. He believed that Jayla chose his son years ago, and now Grace has chosen herself. These sacrifices are essential for bringing prosperity to the village. The truth is that Jocelyn hated the church, and for him, their faith was nothing next to the spirit he worshipped. He explained to her that there are 4 signs that will appear over 4 days. The first is a blood gift, the second is a hair gift, and the third is a great fire. It would set fire to the fields, and the last lunar eclipse was considered just an ancient myth, and she insisted on abducting Grace. He is Nash or his family, not just any spirit. Jocelyn? He just laughed and told her that she still didn't understand and that she will soon. She will meet Jojo herself, not mourning her son Thomas, making Rebecca more afraid. For him, it was a blessing that the spirit took his son. Rebecca, after finding no help from Jocelyn, while she was walking in the forest, she suddenly heard a voice that was begging her to stop chasing him, swearing he hadn't taken her daughter before. I ran to catch Nash, who was running in the darkness of night, and at that moment I spotted the dreaded black barn in the distance. Then after that, the story enters its 4th chapter. Everything is as it was. The next day, Rebecca goes to Brianna at her school, hoping that she might know something about Grace. Brianna makes fun of her, on her, and she was losing her patience and then hitting her. Later, Rebecca shows her a bundle of hair from Brianna, explaining that this is made, to their nature club, where they meet in a secret room. She takes Rebecca there and reveals to her what they have learned, that Grace had come to her. Jogo requests 2 Brianna's troubles, ensuring that Grace is lucky to have been chosen from among them. That's how Gala Jogo, he could get closer to Rebecca more and more. Then Rebecca learns that Jocelyn is the one teaching those children and filling their heads with folklore and strange songs. That's why at the beginning of the film, Grace was acting strangely. She was influenced and subjected to brainwashing when Libka asked if Grace was indeed with that Jojo, and Brianna confirms that she is hiding in the Black Barn, and that this night is the last night of ceremonies. After that, the barn will disappear, and it's not Jojo will take. This revelation terrifies Rebecca. Brianna clarifies that Jocelyn himself is the one who told them these tales and taught them at that moment. Brianna's father arrives while he is very angry because Rebecca hit his daughter. Rebecca tries to reason with him and warns him that the children, they are being manipulated, and they must go to the police. But Brianna's father refuses, insistently saying they are my people, meaning he knows them well, and you are the only one who understands everything wrong. Rebecca finally understood that all the villagers were in agreement. If she wants to save her daughter, she has to fight alone. She told Henry that the villagers know exactly where Grace is, and even the police are covering for them. The officers originally took Grace's belongings to erase any evidence of the rituals. But Henry didn't believe her, and Libka left angry. Later, when Henry called the police himself, he discovered to shock that Grace's case was officially closed at that time. But he began to understand that Rebecca was right, and that this is very wrong. At that moment, Jocelyn entered the haunted forest and walked toward a huge fire. The villagers are gathering around her, waiting for nightfall. At the same time, Rebecca was praying in the church, pleading with God, guiding her. In a vision, Grace appeared to her and asked her to follow the third sign. At night, Rebecca went on the prayer night, what the villagers organized for Grace, and their chaos erupted. But Libica finally saw the truth. The villagers were never Christians. They were indeed acting, but their true faith was with that Jojo. And there they have known all along where Grace was at that moment. Henry arrived and punched Jocelyn in the face and pulled Rebecca away. And although none of them could understand why the villagers were holding on to such dark beliefs, Henry apologized to Rebecca for doubting her, and when Rebecca and Henry returned home, they found their cart on fire, and when they ran outside, villagers massed took Henry, and this chaos was revealed, and Ack confirmed once again that he didn't take Grace, while Galajogo told Divica that Grace was inside the barn, the black one, and she is the only one who can enter because that Jojo chose her. But before they could do anything, the masked men seized both of them. Ake was killed on the spot, and Rebecca was dragged away. The villagers, they were all wearing masks and ready for the rituals, executing every word Jocelyn says. For them, Jocelyn is a master chaos. The new, they used to trust that Jocelyn had Jojo, who took her son Thomas before, and Jocelyn's connection to the church was deep. He was remembering how, long ago, the church burned their leader's bus, and now, since Rebecca is the CC in the village, he wanted to take revenge. And to prove his loyalty, Galajogo made Jocelyn ignite Henry in front of everyone, and Rebecca watched as, terrified and her husband dying in agony, she was powerless to do anything. At that moment, she realized that there was no point in resisting the villagers, and no one will help her if she wants to save her daughter. She must face Galajogo herself. Jocelyn, make sure of this and force her to walk the path of the fate that she believed was written for her. The villagers began their rituals and chanted, chants continuously. Rebecca partners with them. She cut strands of her hair, and Jocelyn threw them into the forest. Suddenly, the black barn appeared in front of her. Inside, she found Grace with her eyes closed and trembling. The mother and daughter hugged each other, but Grace, she warned her and said it wouldn't be good for us to leave. He will not allow us. Then they heard heavy footsteps. For the first time, Jailer Jojo revealed himself. It has become more than just a story. Truth, a huge creature with horns on its head, and she is terrified, but at the same time, she has a challenge. Rebecca looked him directly in the eyes, then bent down and offered him her hair, and with a terrifying visitor, the scene cuts to darkness. And after moments, Rebecca exits the barn holding Grace by the hand. The villagers were shocked. Jocelyn, he shouted in anger and told her that she stole Galajogo's gift, and she condemned all of them to destruction. Rebecca stood firmly and told Justin that when Galajogo abducted Thomas, it was his chance to go and confront the spirit. But he was a coward and scared. As for her, she looked into Galajogo's eyes and was able to reclaim her daughter, and now she declares that she is the new Lady of Chaos. And she is also the one who will end this madness. Everything, villagers by her command, turned on Jocelyn, attacked him, and set him on fire. And so, an era ended. In the end, we see Rebecca and Grace inside the church surrounded by the villagers. Rebecca is leading them in prayer with a signal of the end of Jojo's control and the beginning of a new chapter for the village. This film shows us that old traditions do not really disappear. Instead, they hide within the collective conscience and continue secretly. Societies use fear-based systems continuously to control people, and for their survival, they target the weak, the innocent, the children and the strangers, and they turn them into a scapegoat. And this is the end of the film, and we will meet in its new summary. And thank you for watching.